Argabright, Billinger, Blasey, Blue, Bowers, Bowser, Clays from Saline, Clays from Sedgwick, Clifford, Corson, Dietrich, Erickson, Fag, Fascudo, Francisco, Gossage, Haley, Holscher, Klemp, Cluse, Masterson, Murphy, Owens, Peck, Peterson, Petty, Rose, Reichman, Schmidt, Schallenberger, Shane, Starnes, Sykes, Thomas, Thompson, Titus, Tyson, Ware, Warren.
Senators and guests, please rise and give prayerful attention to our guest chaplain, Doug Hinkle.
Let's pray. Jesus, so often we talk about the power of prayer, not perceiving that the power is not in the prayer, but in the one to whom we pray and in whose name we pray, yours. Jesus, you taught your disciples to pray, and the prayer you taught them has been recited billions of times over the centuries. Lord, we often struggle to apply the words of your prayer to the daily challenges we face in life's journey. And I wonder, can we say our if our lives don't have room for others and their needs? Can we say Father if we don't live out that relationship in our daily lives? Can we say who art in heaven if our interests and commitments are on earthly things? Can we say hallowed be thy name if our lives don't honor and glorify you? Can we say thy kingdom come if we don't have your kingdom growing in our hearts, our lives, and in our homes, state, and nation? Can we say thy will be done if we are unwilling to have your will manifested in our lives? Can we say on earth as it is in heaven, unless we are truly willing to bring you everything in our lives today? Can we say, give us this day our daily bread, when we are ignoring the needs of our brothers and sisters? Can we say, forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us, if we harbor a grudge toward anyone? Can we say, lead us not into temptation, if we deliberately choose to remain in situations that tempt us? Can we say, deliver us from evil, if we're not willing to fight evil with the weapons of your word and prayer? Can we say, thine is the kingdom, if we are not willing to be the king's loyal subjects? Can we say, thine is the power, if we fear what those around us will say or do? Can we say, thine is the glory, if we seek our own glory above yours? Can we say, forever and ever, if we are anxious about the affairs of each day? Can we say, amen, unless we can agree that, whatever the cost to our lives, this is our prayer? Show us, dear Jesus. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
On a point of personal privilege, the chair recognizes the senator from Miami, Senator Shane.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have the distinct honor today of hosting the Gardner-Edgerton High School football coaching staff, 4-team captains, and school administration. These young men have accomplished a great feat and are the back-to-back 6A Kansas football champions and have been to the state football championship 3 years in a row. So today we have head coach Jesse Owen, coaches Brian McCall, John McCall, and Drew Brown. And our team captains that we have with us are Braven Powell, Isaiah Williams, Caleb Dewey, and Caleb Moore. We also have School Superintendent Dr. Brian Huff, Principal Frank Bell, and Athletic Director Jason Radel. Gentlemen, congratulations on a job well done. The impact of athletics to our K-12 system and our communities is really profound, and you guys have accomplished a great thing. Congratulations.
Congratulations, gentlemen. Football is by far my favorite sport, so thank you for being here. Second point of personal privilege, Senator from Sedgwick, Majority Leader Blasey.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to quickly recognize two special guests with me from my district. We have Mayor Russ Kessler here in the back. If you want to stand and just say hello. This is the brother to Representative Kessler, for those of you who know Tom in the House of Representatives. This is his brother, the mayor of Hayesville. And then I also have Councilman Justin Brewster here, also from Hayesville. So just want to give him a warm Senate welcome.
Welcome to the Senate. Final point of privilege, Chair recognizes the Senator from Sedgwick, Senator Faust-Gudeau.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I want to say thank you to Pastor Doug. That was a wonderful prayer. It is my pleasure to recognize individuals from the city of Wichita, Sedgwick County. We know that it's Municipality Day, Local Government Day, and I want to recognize our city council members that are here. And if you would please stand, not to be mistaken with Representative Nick Hohausel, but his brother is City Councilman Mike Hohausel, is here with us today in the chamber. And then Councilman Dalton Glasscock is here with us. And then my very own councilman in the best district, District 1, City Councilman Brandon Johnson. Would we please give them a round of applause?
Welcome to the Senate, gentlemen. Please note references of bills on page 1 through 4 of the calendar. Messages from the governor, clerk will read.
To the Senate of the State of Kansas, submitted herewith for confirmation by the Senate are appointments made by me as the governor of the state of Kansas pursuant to law. Laura Kelly, the governor. The Brigadier General, Kansas National Guard, Carlin Williams, from Laura Kelly.
This constitutes introduction of that appointment previously read. Please see the January 22nd journal for the notice from USD 259, Wichita Public Schools, to dispose of school building. Chair recognizes the Majority Leader from Sedgwick, Senator Blasey.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for consideration of the bills on the calendar under heading of general orders.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Chair appoints the Senator from Cloud, Senator Bowers, to preside over the Committee of the Whole.
Good afternoon. The Senate, having resolved itself in the Committee of the Whole, will now consider those items listed on the calendar under the heading of General Orders. We'll now turn our attention to SR 1704. The chair recognizes the Senator from Cherokee, Senator Schallenbarger.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Senate Resolution 1704 will be the permanent rules of the Senate for the next 4 years. I'll be happy to explain. There are 4 changes to the current rules, which we're now operating under. I'll explain those, and at the end of that, I'll be happy to stand for questions if anybody has any. The first change to the rule is on page 3. If you have the rules here. Under Rule 7 is probably the change that is most people have questions about. It establishes a committee on committees, for lack of a better term, under the OCR. The Committee on Committees would only be effective for the change of a chair or vice chair. And trying to think if there's anything tricky about it. Some questions have arisen about how it works. The chairman of that committee would be the President of the Senate. The members of that committee would be the 5 elected majority party leadership positions, which would be the President, the Majority Leader, the Vice President, the Assistant Majority Leader, and the whip. Those would be the members of that committee. Second change is on page 5. Excuse me. On page 5, Rule 11, subsection B, states that when currently in the Senate a motion to withdraw a bill from a committee is an order, this would say it's in order after the bill has been in committee for 7 legislative days. It's a rule that they have in the House, and the theory behind that is that you shouldn't attempt to pull a bill out of committee if you just got appointed or assigned there that in one day. Give the committee a chance to work the bill. The third change is on page 13. It's Rule 39. It's really shouldn't be controversial. It just says when you're voting, you should be clear and audible. Many times, the clerk has trouble hearing how to record your vote, so this would be on a recorded vote when your name is called to make it sure it's clear and audible. And the final change is the very end, page 24, which kind of redefines what dress code is. It simply adds dress pants instead of long pants to the dress code. Those are the changes in the current rules. If you don't know what the current rules are, I suggest that you read these. If anybody has a question, I'd be happy to stand for them, Madam Chairman.
Are there questions for the senator from Cherokee? Senator from Wyandotte, Senator Petty.
Thank you, Madam. The change dealing with responding to vote would, and it says audible, does that then negate that there can't be a nod of the head or a thumbs up or thumbs down as a way to vote?
I would think that would not be audible. Clear and audible would be a voice vote that is understood by the clerk.
Madam Chair, point of order. Point of order, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Could
Yes,
the
continue.
senators who speak please identify the portion of the rules to which we are speaking? Thank
Yes, duly noted. So Senator Schellenberger, I didn't recognize you before, but Senator from Cherokee, would you like to answer that question? And if you finish with Senator Petty's question, I'm not certain.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I was finished with Senator Petty's question. I'll be happy to restate it if so needed.
Senator from Wyandotte, Senator Petty, was your question answered? Would you like to continue?
Madam Chair, were you asking me to restate my question?
Did you hear your answer?
I did hear my answer, and I appreciate that response. When you said that it's understood by the clerk, you mean that is audibly understood by the clerk, would that be correct?
Senator from Senator Schellenberger.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Yes.
Thank you.
Senator from Harvey, Senator Stephan.
Senator Owens, but thank you,
Oh,
Madam
so
Chair.
sorry, Owens. I'm terribly sorry. I'm a little rusty up here. So thank you.
No
And you're
problem.
new
There's
county.
a
Thank
certain
you.
amount of humor since it started out that way with my first
sorry.
name being Stephan. Madam Chair, I am referencing on page 4C, the very bottom, where it says the Committee on Organization, Calendar, and Rules shall appoint the chairperson and vice chairperson or vice chairpersons thereof, and shall designate the ranking minority member of each committee. I had requested an amendment, which isn't quite ready yet, but for clarity purposes, does the president, who is chairperson of the committee, have to be in agreement with the decision to remove, replace, or appoint vice chairpersons, chairpersons, or others?
Senator from Cherokee, Senator Schellenberger.
The chairperson has to call a meeting. I would say that this is basically an advise and consent type of situation. The president, who is the chairperson of that committee, would make a recommendation to replace a chairman or vice chairman of the committee. The committee members, of course, are not subject to this. And then the committee would have to vote in affirmative for that. If the committee itself wanted to take some action, the chairman would have to call a meeting. And then under the Senate rules, only the chairman can call a meeting. So that's from a technical point of view. From a practical point of view, I can't imagine that the committee would want to appoint somebody that the president didn't recommend, because they couldn't, basically. And the committee can't, unless the chairman calls a committee meeting, remove anybody.
Senator from Harvey, Senator Olson.
Senator Owens. That's okay. Third time's the
I'm gonna
charm, Madam
stay
Chair.
from those.
I just keep smiling. I appreciate that response. I'm just not, and maybe I'm missing something where that it is more clear. I do recognize that it is the chairperson that calls a meeting. And of course, I'm trying to think years in advance. We never know, as emotions get going crazy sometimes, if the chairperson calls a meeting for one purpose, and then it is mentioned from another member that wants to make a change. I'm not sure whether we need to clarify that specifically in the rules, that the chairperson, also known as the Senate President, must be in agreement with that change. Unless there's some way where our conversation clarifies that and it is recorded in the minutes somehow so that we're certain of that. If not, I would prefer to wait for clarity of an amendment.
Senator Schellenberger, did you have a response?
I don't have a response to that.
Senator from Harvey, Senator Owens, would you like us to wait on an amendment and proceed and wait for your amendment to be completed?
I would appreciate that, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Do we have additional questions for the senator from Cherokee? Senator Schellenberger. Senator from Johnson, Senator Warren.
Perfect. Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate that. A point of clarification, if I might, regarding the original constituting of the committees. The way that I look at the rules and the committee of 5 that these rules would create, it's the committee of 5 who would determine from the outset the leadership of each committee, the chair, the vice chair, and the ranking minority member. And it's not merely advise and consent, I guess is my question, but it's actually voting of the 5 on who is going to be the chair, the vice chair, and the ranking. If I could have that question answered, please.
Senator from Cherokee, Senator Schellenberger.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I think the question contemplates what happens in the beginning of the new session when all those selections are made. The committee would, it's not contemplated that the committee would select committee members. It's exclusive to the chairman and vice chairman. So I suppose 4 years from now, when all of that is undertaken in a big way, the committee could have influence over who the chairman and vice chairman of the committees are. I can tell you from a practical point of view, just for those of you who wonder how this all gets started, the president this year had a recommended list of chairman, vice chairman, and committee members. He openly confided with the majority leader, myself, about those. We had conversations about them. Some of those things were changed. It's a moving target. From a practical point of view, a committee can hardly do all of that because you have to start with something. And so it's been a very open process, and I don't have any complaints about how it was done. I think we're just saying in the future, there is if a committee member is removed, a vice chairman is, a committee chairman is removed, or a vice chairman is removed, that a little bit of buy-in from more than one person might give the Senate a little better look, that it wasn't a knee-jerk reaction. I don't have any reason to believe that if the president of the Senate wanted to take somebody out of a committee, that the committee that would make that decision would object. That doesn't mean, however, that the rule doesn't provide that they could.
Senator from Johnson, Senator Warren.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We are establishing rules that are going to be in place for the next couple of years, I guess, until they're amended or reconsidered. So we're going to be left after our discussion, after our voting, with what's written on the paper. And what's going to be interpreted as what's written on the paper. And as I look at page 4, again, just for clarification, it does state at the bottom of page 4 in subsection C, the Committee on Organization, Calendar, and Rules shall appoint the chairperson, vice chairperson, or vice chairpersons thereof, and shall designate the ranking minority member of each committee. So that sentence right there talks about the original composition of the committee, not replacing a vacancy. And my question is then, would that, it seems to me that sentence would require a vote of the 5 to appoint from the outset of the new biennium or the new term of the Senate. The committee would appoint the chair, the vice chair, and the ranking minority member. So I'm just trying to clarify, it's not the president deciding, it's the committee would be voting, and it would take a vote of 3 of the 5, I guess. So just clarification, it would be a vote, and would it require 3 of the 5, or would it be unanimous? What are we looking at?
Senator from Cherokee, Senator Schallenberger.
Yes, at the beginning of the 4 years, I don't know what that's called, that would be correct. The committee would have influence over who could decide who the chair, vice chair, and ranking members are. After that's been established, then I don't believe, it's not anticipated. If clarity is needed, we're all willing to try to clarify it. It's not the intent that this committee will be changing things. There will be vacancies, as we all know. There's people come and go around here all the time. The committee would have influence, would be able to vote on that. It would be a majority vote. The committee meeting would have to be called by the president.
Senator from Johnson, Senator Warren.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So with the establishing of the committee and making the appointment of the, at the outset of the 4-year term, the chair, the vice chair, and the ranking, we, with this rule, would be giving colleagues more authority over other colleagues by changing it from a 1-person decision to a 5-person decision. Is that correct?
Senator from Cherokee, Senator Schallenberger.
Correct.
Senator from Johnson, Senator Warren.
Thank you. Appreciate the clarification. Thank you.
Additional questions for the senator from Cherokee. Chair recognizes Senator from Butler, Senator Blue.
Barton. Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a question for the senator carrying the bill, and then also I have an amendment. The first question I have is on the last page when we're talking about the dress code, who is the fashion police?
Senator from Cherokee, Senator Schallenberger, and pardon me for getting your county wrong. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I don't know who the fashion police are.
Senator from Barton, Senator Blue.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That's my only question for you. I do have an amendment, and it is turned in.
So it is turned in, and do you have a number?
Are you asking for the RS number at the very top?
Yes.
0664.
Wonderful. Would you like to explain it or have it read?
It can be read. It's very simple.
Yes, Joe. Oh, yes, go ahead and read, please.
Mr. President, I move to amend SR 1704 on page 5 and line 34 by striking, quote, 7, unquote, and inserting 10.
The chair recognizes Senator from Barton, Senator Blue.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I brought this amendment forward because I think 7 is kind of an odd number, and 10 allows essentially 2 weeks. So if a bill is introduced, it's giving the chair more time to, they already possibly have their agenda set, and it's allowing them more time to get that bill hearing going and so forth. So it just gives a couple extra days for that. So that's why I made it 10. I'll stand for questions.
Senator from Cherokee, Senator Schellenberger, do you have any questions, comments? Oh, I see. Okay. I see.
I don't have any questions about the amendment. I will say that when this rule change was contemplated, we talked among the then members of the Rules Committee. Senator from Johnson, Senator Ward wasn't yet included in that conversation, and we kind of agreed to 7. That doesn't mean it's a magic number, and clearly anybody has an opportunity to bring any amendment they want. So I'll leave that up to the will of the body.
And the chair recognizes Senator from Sedgwick, Senator Blasey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I originally proposed this addition to the rules package. This is kind of something that would be new to the Kansas Senate. Certainly, I think there's a rule that already is allowed in the House, but it'd be a new rule for the Senate. It simply just allows, if a bill is introduced, it gives our committees and our committees chairs plenty of opportunity to look at the legislation, to have a hearing, to work a bill before a senator makes a motion to pull a bill out of committee. I originally proposed 10 days, and I discussed this. It was the leadership team and the minority leadership team about this rules package, and we had an agreement, eventually landing on 7 days. I asked for 10, they asked for 5, we went back and forth, and it settled on 7 legislative days. It was a robust discussion and debate, but in the spirit of that agreement with the minority leader, I will have to oppose the amendment. Thank you.
Are there any other questions for the senator from Barton? Oh, there, okay. Standing behind her. Senator from Johnson, Senator Gossage.
Thank you. I just have a question regarding, I can't seem to find it, I'm looking for it furiously in the bill, but we had a discussion in caucus about if it is legislative days, is it business days? So it's 10, has that been changed?
Senator from Barton, Senator Blue.
Thank you,
7
Madam Chair.
legislative days, thank you.
It does say legislative days.
All right, thank you very much.
Are there additional questions from the senator from Barton? I see none. You may move your amendment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I close and move my amendment.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye and opposed no. So let's do this again. All those in favor say aye. Opposed no. A division has been requested. All those in favor, please stand. And all those opposed, please stand. Ten having voted in favor and 26 against, the motion fails. We're back on the bill. Are there additional questions for the senator from Cherokee, Senator Schellenberger? Senator from Shawnee, Senator Clues.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to make sure I'm wrapping my head around this change here in Section C. The way it currently reads, the President of the Senate, with the advice of the Majority Leader and the Vice President of the Senate, shall appoint the members of each committee, shall appoint the chairperson and the vice chairperson or vice chairpersons thereof, and shall designate the ranking minority member of each committee. Now, it was my understanding before this change came The OCR was actually a total of the 3 elected officials here for leadership, and then 6 more senators, so a total of 9. Am I understanding that correctly?
Senator from Cherokee, Senator Schallenberger.
I don't think so. What you have in the rules, you have 2 little parts that deal with this. Originally, the OCR, which stands for Organization, Calendar, and Rules. Basically, the organization committee had 3 members: the president, the vice president, and the majority leader. Committees appointments and selections were made by the committee chairman, which is the president, basically with consent of the other 2. So in essence, what we're doing is we're expanding that other 2 to 5. Kind of works the same way. There is a standing committee established by rule for the calendar committee. That calendar committee is chaired by the majority leader, and the president and the vice president serve on that. And so if it comes to what runs on the floor, the majority leader chairs that committee, and with consent of at least one of the other 2. And the rules committee has 5 members, and it's the president, the vice president, and the majority leader, as well as the minority leader, and a person appointed by the president, vice president, and majority leader. And we've selected Senator Warren from Johnson County to fill that. So the only change, really, if you look at it from kind of a practical point of view, is the committee of 3, which was the president would make the determination with kind of with consent of the others, has gone from 3 to 5.
Senator from Shawnee, Senator Cluse.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Maybe I was misunderstood. I'm going back to 2013, and currently, I understand it's Madam Chair 3, but now what this bill is going to do is change it to 5, taking the president from just being advised to who could be picked to thumbs up or thumbs down by 5 now. That's what I want to understand. Am I correct in that thinking?
Senator Schallenberger.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. That's pretty close. I think that's right. Back in 13, I believe it was, there was, I think, maybe 9 people on the committee. There were 6 elected by the body in general, and there were 3 leaders. And if you go back 10 years before that, it was the Committee on Committees has been in the Senate for a number of years, but it's had different looks. And then it vanished 12 years ago. There was an attempt 8 years ago to put it back. And I don't think there was an attempt 4 years ago. So this is putting it back with 5, and they're all elected leaders.
Senator from Shawnee, Senator Cluse.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. So my understanding is correct on this. So we're going to be moving from the President of the Senate with the advice of the other 2 elected, the Majority Leader and the Vice President, to now a total of 5, including the Assistant Majority Leader and the Majority Whip, that would vote up or down on the selection of those chairpersons. Is my understanding on that, Madam Chair, correct?
Senator from Cherokee, Senator Schallenberger.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I think that's a good way to look at it.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. So essentially, we turned this from an advisory scenario to straightforward board vote scenario. I know I'm kind of digressing a little bit on this point, but I just want to be sure that we all in this body understand the implication of this change. And once this change is made, once this change is implemented, it's hard to go back. And I guess, Madam Chair, the reason I'm bringing this up, because there were certain senators in the past who are no longer with us that seem to revert clear back often concerning how, well, there was a mistake made in the rules being changed. And, you know, it's up to the will of this body what we decide today. So I'm just making sure that we understand what we are deciding and the full implication of where that will land us. And once this change is made, it's done with. And so obviously as Majority Whip, I would be included in that decision making. But these rules aren't about me. These rules are about the effectiveness of us seeing this body governed through the voted leadership that we already have in play. And so when we think of that implication, in all fairness to the carrier of the bill here, we just need to be sure that when it comes to the vision that we have in the caucus, that's not being stripped. I've had opportunity to serve over the years and have had boards that voted every little thing up and down, up and down. Then I've also had opportunity to have boards that sat in advisory positions. And that would not hamstring necessarily the vision of the president of that board or the chairperson of that board. And so I'm just, once again, this is the decision that we're going to make as a body. I'm open to whatever that may be. I just want us to be sure that we are understanding the change we're making, the purpose of that, and is that necessary for where we're at, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Senator from Sedgwick, did you have a question or a comment, Senator Peterson?
Madam Chair, I was only wanting to provide the history that the Vice President just provided. Thank you.
Are there additional questions? I see Senator from Johnson, Senator Gossage.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I believe that there would be less confusion if we received a copy that had in italics those provisions that were added and then strike out those provisions that were changed, because we're trying to, many of us, myself included, are thinking, wait, what did it say before? Wait, what authority did they have before? We all knew there were 3 before and now there are 5. That's easy to understand. But I think the question becomes, I know for myself as a chair, I thought that there were advisory, that the 3 people or 5 people, does not matter, would serve as an advisory, like, yes, we think that's a good idea, or we think this person would be a good idea, particularly when it comes to there's an opening or somebody left or whatever. And I think that's where the confusion lay, I believe, in that I don't recall that before it says they shall, I think it's at the bottom of page 4, the committee shall appoint the chair, vice chair, et cetera, and don't recall that ever being the wording before. It seems as though it was the Senate president would appoint, but that they would be advisors to that. So could the good senator explain to me if that was changed in the wording from the original rules?
Senator from Cherokee, Senator Schallenberger.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. If I could ask exactly where the senator from Johnson is referring, and
I'm sorry, I only have the paper copy, and thankfully somebody from leadership staff highlighted a portion for me, so I don't have the actual printout there, so I couldn't tell you if that's page 4. I don't have numbers or anything, but in the printout that we were given, it's the starting at the bottom of page 4. Madam Chair.
Senator from Cherokee, Senator Schallenberger.
Thank you. Do you have a, does Senator from Johnson have a rule number or a subsection?
I have nothing, none of
Senator
that,
from
I'm
Johnson,
sorry.
Senator Gossage.
Oh, I apologize. Yes, Madam Chair.
We're all a little rusty at this.
Yes, well, and thank you. So all I have is the typed out version that we have. I don't have the actual bill to have anything more than what was on the typed out version. I think that's what most of us have. Oh, subsection C.
Senator from Cherokee, Senator Schallenbarger.
Thank you. I don't have the old rules in front of me, but I can tell you that pretty closely, the old rule said that the chairman, it's always been referred to as the chairman because there was a committee on organization. And so the chairman was the president. That the committee on organization, well, I don't know what, it's always been up until 13 that the committee appointed all of these members. In 13, the committee was taken out, the standing committee of 9 members or whatever, and it was left with the committee on organization, which has always been the president, the majority leader, and the vice president. That's been the rule. That's the rule today. That's the rule under the temporary rules. The president, with consent of the majority leader and the vice president, appoints the committee chairs and vice chairs, all of those. So that's current. This simply establishes a committee that has more members on it, adding the assistant majority leader and the whip, and leaves the rest of it pretty much the way it is.
Senator from Johnson, Senator Gossage, and it might help if you could clarify your question just a little bit more. We're moving from something to something, if you could ask that again.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So I appreciate Senator Petty, who had given me the current rules. So the current rules state, under rule number 7, subsection C, the President of the Senate, with the advice of the Majority Leader and the Vice President of the Senate. So it appeared to me that what we were trying to say is that instead of just those 2 people, there would be with the advice of the 4 people, so the total committee. So it says the President of the Senate, with the advice of the Majority Leader and the Vice President of the Senate, shall appoint the members of each committee, shall appoint the chairperson and vice chairperson, or vice chairpersons thereof, and shall designate the ranking minority member of each committee. All of that was changed. And I don't think that this body understood that, Madam Chair.
Senator from Cherokee, Senator Schallenbarger.
Thank you. Thank you, and you're correct, that was all changed. The language now on line 39, page 3, Committee on Organization, Calendar, and Rules. The chairperson, vice chairman, and ranking is appointed by the committee, and all the other members are appointed by the president.
Senator from Johnson, Senator Gossage.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Senator from, and I should know this.
Butler.
Butler, Senator Masterson.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. And we are all rusty. For those that are new, we haven't done this for 9 months, right, is what it feels like. She's back. She's doing a great job. Thank you, Madam Chair. That, just for a point of clarity, since this seems to be circling around this OCR, which pertains to the president's power, which obviously pertains to me. I just want to be clear. I wanted this to be an open discussion with our new membership. I mean, I personally didn't have any proposed changes to the rules. However, I agreed to support the new leadership team and their desires for this. I do. It feels like we're honing in on something with the OCR. I served under both systems. When I first came into the Senate, we had this super expanded OCR. We had like 9 members, and it was not good, quite frankly, and how that operated. And that came in sometime in the 1970s, my understanding. However, it dropped to 3 since 2013, Vice President, and he's wanting to go to 5, which would be your other elected members, the whip and the assistant majority leader. And if that's it, so I see that as reasonable. I do think from what I'm hearing that the Owens amendment probably solves that problem that I'm hearing, right? If the chairman of the committee, which would be the president, had to be part of the majority, just like a governor does in state finance council, I think I'm hearing that will solve this problem, and we could move forward with the 5-member OCR. So I just didn't want to participate because I didn't want you all to think I'm trying to somehow keep my own power or expand my power, whatever it is, because I'm perfectly comfortable living within the rules that are provided, and we're going to do great work this year. So thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Masterson. I see, are we ready for an amendment? Yes, so Senator Owens from Harvey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. All right, I do have the amendment prepared, and I apologize for it taking so long to get here. It is, let's see, RS 0665 is what it is. And simply put, this inserts on page 3, line 41, after the period by inserting, for any changes to be made in the appointment of a chairperson or vice chairperson by the committee, the president of the Senate must be voting on the prevailing side. So in essence, as explained, it ensures that our Senate president has per se veto authority over any changes that are made to a chairperson or vice chairperson. And I will certainly stand for questions.
Are there questions on the amendment? Senator from
Douglas.
Senator Francisco.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question for the senator from Harvey would be, when this says for any changes to be made in the appointment, is that after the initial appointments have been made?
Senator from Harvey, Senator Owens.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The appointments have already been made, and so those decisions have already been made. So it would be any changes once these rules are adopted going forward for the rest of our 4-year period.
Senator from Douglas, Senator Francisco.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So if we continue 4 years from now to work under these rules, then it would be the committee would appoint the chairperson and vice chairperson or vice chairpersons and shall designate the ranking minority members. And then again, this would only come into effect after those appointments have already been made.
Senator from Harvey, Senator Owens.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I think that you're operating under the assumption that we would be utilizing these same set of rules to organize the next Senate 4 years from now. And my assumption would be that there would be changes. However, I understand exactly what is being said and would certainly not be opposed to any changes, but I think this addresses the immediate concern for the remainder of this Senate, 4-year Senate session.
Senator from Douglas, Senator Francisco.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree that this would help us move forward, but our experience this session was those appointments to committees had already been made before the first day of the session and before any opportunity to adopt rules. So that's why I brought up that question. Thank you.
Are there additional questions on the amendment? Senator from Cherokee, Senator Schallenberger.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I think everybody understands this, and I understand it. I will say from a practical point of view, these probably will be the rules that will be operating after the next election, because we are operating under temporary rules now, which we can't change the rules until we're organized. And we're usually, appointments are made before we're organized. So one of the other problems with doing this is it looks personal, because we know who the president is. We know who the majority leader are. This really is prospective. And like I said, we had a very good rapport with the three of us that were on the committee, and I'm assuming the five will do the same way. But you're right, what the words on paper is what we're going by, but I think this will be probably what the Senate organizes under 4 years from now. Thank you. And you can vote, I have no opinion of the amendment.
Seeing no more questions, you may move your amendment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I recognize that if we had more time, it's my understanding that when this request was sent out to the reviser, he may not have been aware that we were working this today on the floor. And so given more time, I think that there might have been some different wording, but I do think that this solves the problems for the remainder of this session and clarifies that the Senate President needs to be on the prevailing side, and so I do move the amendment.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. We're back on the bill. A division has been called. For all those in favor, please stand. All those opposed, still please stand. $25 had voting in favor and 9 against. The motion carries. We're back on the bill. Are there additional questions for the Senator from Cherokee, Senator Schallenberger? Seeing none, Senator, you may close.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that when the committee rises a report, we report Senate Resolution 1704 as amended, favorable for adoption.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Motion carries. The chair recognizes the majority leader from Sedgwick, Senator Blasey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the committee rise and report.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. Motion carries.
Clerk will read the committee report.
On motion of Senator Blasey, the Senate resolved itself into the Committee of the Whole for consideration of bills on the calendar under the heading of General Orders, with Senator Bowers in the chair. Recommended SR 1704 be amended on motion of Senator Owens, and the resolution be adopted as amended.
Chair recognizes the Senator from Cloud, Senator Bowers, to adopt the report.
I make the motion to adopt the committee report.
Heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Chair recognizes the majority leader from Sedgwick, Senator Blasey.
Thank you, Mr. President. You'll see on your desk, everybody, there's a letter from the Secretary of the Senate that kind of explains what's going to be voted on today. It's a new practice I've asked the Secretary of the Senate to provide for all senators so they can exactly see on each roll call what we're voting on. This will be especially helpful when we're voting on 20 bills in one day, which you guys know during turnaround we'll be doing that. So, Mr. President, I move an emergency be declared, the rules suspended, and the following resolution be advanced to final action and roll call. Senate Resolution 1704.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. We'll hold for final action. We're now ready for final action. On this roll call, we'll take the following. The resolution on page 6, SR 1704. Clerk will read the title.
SR 1704, a resolution adopting rules for the Senate of the State of Kansas for the terms of senators commencing with the 2025 regular session of the Legislature.
Clerk will call the roll.
Alley. Argabright. Billinger. Blasey. Blue. Bowers. Bowser.
Aye.
Clays from Saline. Clays from Sedgwick. Clifford. Corson. Dietrich. Erickson. Fagg. Fascudo. Francisco. Gossage. Haley. Holscher. Klemp. Cluse. Masterson. Murphy. Owens. Peck. Peterson. Petty. Rose. Reichman. Schmidt. Schallenberger. Shane. Starnes. Sykes. Thomas. Thompson. Titus. Tyson. Ware. Warren.
Has every senator had an opportunity to vote? Does any senator wish to explain their vote? Any senator wish to change their vote? Seeing none, clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. On a vote of 39 in favor and none opposed to the passage of SR 1704, this measure having received its required constitutional majority is hereby declared adopted. Introduction of bills, concurrent resolutions, clerk will read.
Senate Bill number 55 by the Committee on Financial Institutions and Insurance, an act concerning property and casualty insurance. Senate Bill number 56 by the Committee on Federal and State Affairs, an act concerning alcoholic beverages. Senate Bill number 57 by the Committee on Utilities, an act concerning roads and highways. Senate Bill number 58 by the Committee on Agricultural and Natural Resources, an act concerning water. Senate Bill number 59 by the Committee on Assessment and Taxation, an act concerning sales taxation. Senate Bill number 60 by the Committee on Judiciary, an act concerning civil procedure. Senate Bill number 61 by the Committee on Judiciary, an act concerning electric public utilities. Senate Bill number 62 by the Committee on Judiciary, an act concerning crimes, punishment, and criminal procedure. Senate Bill number 63 by the Committee on Public Health and Welfare, an act concerning children and minors. And Senate Concurrent Resolution number 1605 by the Committee on Federal and State Affairs, A proposition to amend Article 9 of the Constitution of the State of Kansas by adding a new section thereto concerning the power of home rule for counties.
This constitutes introduction of Senate Bill 55 through Senate Bill 63 and SCR 1605. Before we recess or adjourn, are there announcements? Seeing none, Chair recognizes Majority Leader from Sedgwick, Senator Blasey.
Thank you, Mr. President. Starting in the practice of going to caucus the day before we go on general orders, despite we are not going on general orders tomorrow, but we are going to vote final action on all the confirmations on nominees on page 5 tomorrow. Our caucus has not had a chance to just discuss it. If there are any questions, we haven't always gone to caucus on nominations, especially since I don't believe any of these are controversial of any nature. But just to check that box, we're going to go to caucus right immediately after session today to caucus on nominees on page 5. With that, Mr. President, I move the Senate adjourn until 2:30 p.m. on Thursday, January 23rd, 2025.
For the motion, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Senate's adjourned.